I'm Freddie Allen. Welcome to Rock Hoarder Revelations. It's been 2 years since I started this channel, and haven't really gotten anywhere with it. I don't know. I just keep showing the same rocks over and over again. Never really show how they connect with anything or how they're really relevant. But so today I'm going to kind of show you a little closer look at how ordinary rocks, or what seem ordinary looking anyways, maybe aren't so ordinary, and these particular ones anyways, I think, were created with, you know, a lot of energy, a massive impact or something, like similar to what maybe this rock here looks like, a mini planet or something. And looks like it kind of two planets colliding or something. And so I'm gonna just try to show how all these rocks are very different from each other, but yet how they're connected, how they're the same. And I say that a lot about how all these rocks are the same structure or whatever, and it's hard to explain what I mean really, but I'm going to try to show. I'm going to give it an attempt to show you what I mean about them having the same structure and whatever. But and it all starts basically with pretty much with carbon, graphite, and other allotropes of carbon or whatever. I don't know what exactly how to pronounce everything or whatever it's all called, but there's a lot of other forms of carbon. The most common ones that we know of are graphite and of course diamond, and graphite being one of the softest natural materials known, and diamond being the hardest. But and they're both pure carbon. Their chemical formula is just carbon. But in some situations, and many situations, I think like the graphite can be turned into diamond or whatever, and I think a lot of diamond probably forms from graphite in the first place, and then recrystallizes into the well-structured diamonds that they make, gems out of and stuff. But there's also what they call carbon nanotubes or something like that, and they're, I think they start from graphite as well, like, and they just form little tubes. It starts with, I don't know, like carbon ribbon, I guess. It starts with ribbons and then forms into tubes, and then, but over here, and this right here, I thought for a long time was just a fossil of some sort, but the thing is, it's very hard, very abrasive, and it doesn't weather like you would think. I've left this thing for a couple of years. I've left it out in the weather just to see what it would do. For a couple of years, I've let it soak in water, and it doesn't really erode either. And it's very hard. And if you notice, if I can get it in the light, let me find the right light and the right, let me zoom this a little bit. You'll notice that it's really just a series of a bunch of tubes, and like I said, carbon nanotubes or whatever I've read about, and that's what got me to connecting this with these other rocks. After I read that about those, and I started comparing it, and that's how I figured out the connection between them. Like I said, it's very hard, very abrasive. And you notice that the small tubes group together and form larger tubes, and then the fluids, any melt, minerals and stuff that are still fluid melts, they flow through these tubes, primarily, carbon first of all, and then they'll keep the carbon, I think, kind of distributes everything else, in my opinion. But as you can see, this, it's not, it seems real random, but it's not. It's very calculated structure wise, and I don't know how to explain it. I'll just show you, let you see this, and then show you how the similarities, well, I mean, the similarities and the differences, but yet, I mean, the same is all these other rocks here. I finally realized that like the structure on them is the same as like these tubes. Like these tubes rotate in a rotating motion as well, like the way that they form. And then so do these rocks, and I realized these rocks are like follow the same, like they started off as tubes too, and then recrystallize and form into purer, I don't know how to explain it. I'll just shut up and just show you the rocks and see if you can see what I'm talking about. I will hold it steadier in a second too. When I get to rocks, you can. So what I think they'd be is some kind of like multi-phase carbon rocks, or diamond, or some form of carbon. In multi-phase, I mean growing in different growth stages or whatever in one rock. But you'll see like when they start making the openings start getting larger, I mean the whole rock is very porous because it's a bunch of tubes that are now hollow on this particular rock. And like I said, I thought it was some kind of fossil for a long time, but then it just, fossils are usually brittle and very fragile, and this this rock is not. It's more like I guess like a carbonado, but without the patina. And I do have some stuff that I've gotten, and I realize that a lot of it is probably sediment that's built up in the tubes, over time. But then some of it also is stuff that, let go when I brushed it out and cleaned it real well. But yeah, you'll notice the shapes of those as the tubes get bigger and stuff. And then in like rocks like this that I thought for a long time was just a big old piece of slag or something, it didn't. But then something about it, the weight of it, first of all, is very heavy, and it has some unusual colors to it for being just slag. But then I started noticing the similarities, and really it's like in the holes and stuff, and it's just in a larger scale. bigger versions of those tubes, and then of course filled with something, you know, and it's very hard too. It's just a different, like a different, I guess, the patina in the carbonato maybe, but on a different atomic scale as well, very much larger, I think, anyways. And you can see here, I don't know if I can get that right angle where you can see where those are also hollow tubes. And then, and not everything is, you know, quite hollow. Some, and some are the side, like, you know, where they turn, and but then the, you know, it's very complex, but it all has a long range order, and that makes it, you know, starts making a larger shape. And then that's where you can see also in these other rocks, all these other rocks, start seeing those same structure. And when you get close up, and even this, like the hole in there, but then as you can see, and it turns completely to crystal in this phase, and makes crystals, very clean crystals and gems. And then has more levels of decay or erosion or resorption. This is a good example of a lot of resorption. Let me turn the light here. Let me set this still. Oh, I want you to look at the circle patterns here too, and because I've seen videos on mysteries on like landscapes and stuff, in places where they find these circles in fields and stuff, and it's, I believe it's on a larger scale the same thing as the circles on, I don't know if you can see them that good on here. But as I move on, you'll see them in a lot of rocks. You will be able to see them much clearer, like right there. But right now, I'm trying to find the light to hit them right and hold the camera and keep it steady. But yeah, as I move on, you'll start to see them in this and other rocks too, and then different, that the circle that look like cinnamon rolls almost. And again, like tubes like these, you know, and the way that these swirl, and some of these, when I look down with magnifiers, look down into them with the light and everything, like some of them you can still see, you know, the minerals inside of them still. Some of them, you know, with like just the tip of a gem sticking out, and some of them are just this white, like mica, like looking stuff, but very hard, much harder than mica. But then ouch. this is like very hard too, and it's a really weird texture, like the whole rock altogether. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like it's like it's a bunch of, like a cluster of crystals, but yet they're really bonded together hard. Like this thing is very tough, not just hard but tough, like, and hard to break. And then it also too has this part in here where it cradles crystals. And they all have this like octahedra shape to them, kind of, or at least a portion. Like, I don't know. And then some other phase, and you'll see this is like a larger scale of what would be like these same tubes, but fatter, much bigger, and they crisscross and they make like this weave, like the weaving of a basket almost. But this is like would be a big chunk of it on a large scale. I'll show you on another rock like what I mean, where I'll zoom in real close and you can see the weaving. But then you can see the also the decay and erosion, and that like from the pressure and stuff, you know, to the rock, the melt, partial melt, and stuff like that, and melting minerals and recrystallizing them into new minerals and such like that. Hopefully this is all making sense to you if you're still watching. Hopefully you're still watching. I not only need views, but I need like the actual viewing hours so I can get to where I can sell some of this stuff maybe to this channel. But I need more viewing hours, lots of more viewing hours. And then you'll see these are like larger, like the sheets on that one where I was showing you with the tubes, like how it has the side, like it's just larger scale of the same. And probably like a lot of like garnet and different things that are like decayed or melted, or you know, either too much pressure or heat or both, or you know. And then we turn this over, and just like those other ones, it also has like newer, another phase of growth phase or whatever. And then, I mean, and then it goes on, and you can see I've got all kinds of sorts of different stages and sizes and atomic scale or whatever. And on the back side of this, you could, I mean, on this side you could tell, you can see the resorption and the decay and And this stuff, you know, it looks like mica or whatever, but like I said, it's really hard. I've tried to scrub it off, sand it off. I mean, and it's, I kind of look like it gives it an elasticy. I don't know how to explain it really, but it's hard. It's really a lot of what helps hold these rocks together, I think. And then if you look on the backside, it's got more newer growth, another growth phase that has crystal, but yet they're still attached very hard. And I'll show you some other rocks where the carbon tubes then become like a three-dimensional network of like netting. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I'll show you. And it almost becomes like honeycombs where crystals come out of the, you'll see. Anyways, we'll get there. Just trying to get there. That's what I was trying to get. Find the right light. It says they crystallize better. You can see that in those tubes or whatever, recrystallize into better, like more like chains of crystals at some point. And then this is after they probably, you know, formed into well-formed crystals and then was eroded and resorbed and stuff back from some kind of shock or impact or, you know, whatever happened, and then to end up with rocks like these where it looks like, you know, they were partially melted, and like even this one's a larger form of something that's just on like the surface of that, but you can see it looks like a, you know, rock that's been melted partially or worn down. It'd be resorption on a larger scale, I guess, but and it's got stuff embedded in it still in places, and places that you can still see that it at one time, and you know, has smaller parts. I know, like the other rock has smashed, crushed, partially melted crystals, and from friction and pressure and then heat. And then on the inside of it, like those other ones, has another growth phase, newer growth phase. And yeah, lots of these rocks, I mean, they pretty much continue on. This one here, like it's just large, gets on a larger scale, has a hexagonal, and that's a lot of it too. Like the graphite is a hexagonal crystal lattice, and what it's like a bunch, like aggregates of cubes that spiral around a hexagonal lattice. It's called lonsdaleite, is what it's actually called when it's in that form. But I don't know that it's been, how much of it's really been discovered in nature, really. And but this is, you know, what I think, or at least, you know, a lot of I lost my train of thought with that. I'll get back to it anyways. But like I was saying about the honeycomb type thing too, and you can look like closer in, and it's, you know, that seems real porous in a lot of places, like, you know, just like this over here, and it's where the minerals come out of the ends of the tubes, and those tubes all crisscross after a while, and things migrate and it recrystallizes, and, you know, everything, you know, it starts to form bigger crystals and purer crystals, and migrate out the impurities, and then it's really complex. I think this is the same processes that still go inside, you know, go on inside the earth now. You know, like I was saying about these rocks kind of reflecting the way the earth is made, I think, and it, you know, the earth is a living, breathing planet, and these tubes, you know, probably, you know, all feed, you know, different things to different parts of the world. They, you know, represent like the volcanoes and such like that, and that good part of the earth, I think, is probably made up pretty much of something like this. And then with all the other, everything else fills the gaps like this. You know, you can see it in different phases and different scales and different stages of resorption or corrosion or stuff like that. Is like in here the same thing. These ones just aren't emptied out. They still, you know, in very specific structure. Like I said, they start to make, they have, you know, some have a very good structure, you know, and then some of them have, you know, kind of distorted, but still have a long range order that still comes back out to trying to be octahedra. And you'll see these patterns throughout all these rocks too, like these same things. Including like where is it, this one here, as you can see. It has these distinct patterns. And if you look like from like satellite images at the Earth of like views of like diamond mines and stuff from space, you'll notice how very similar they'll look to these. Even the same colors, ironically, like the yellows and the blues and the oranges and stuff. It's kind of weird. This one here, it's more like the color of this lavender one I showed you. But it makes more like that, the face. But yet it still has, here, I'll just let you look. Very hard. Again, try to break a piece off of here, and it's like even this thing, and they almost impossible. I have not been able to even chip a piece, not even a crystal off of it anywhere. And I've tried, and I've scrubbed and sanded and tried to like done a lot of things to it. I'm not real gentle with my rocks. I want to know, you know, what they are when I don't like to have to be careful with stuff, so I'm really rough with stuff, and if it can withstand it, it can, and if not, then it's... But yeah, and it goes to trying to hold it steady enough and move slow enough. I'm getting a little bit of a hurry, and I don't know why. Let me just slow down a minute. Get where you can see. And then it turns to this side and has this, and a lot like that. They keep finding all these caves and tunnels that go into the earth, you know, natural caves, and these would represent stuff like that in the earth, I think. And again, like just a bit larger versions of those tubes. They go, and then when they end, it's because it, you know, they cross with other, you know, they get intertwined, and as it recrystallizes and the pressure and all that, you know, things move around, and the shift in the earth, the tectonic plates and such. And then here's where you could see some of these swirls pretty well. and the hardness and the toughness, and like I said, it's just like extreme. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's the feel of it is almost like a plastic, but not plastic, but like a super plastic. I don't know how to explain it, but but it won't scratch and it won't break. Like obviously my fingernail's not going to scratch it, but I mean, I've tried to scratch it, like I said, and scrub it with, sandpapers, like silicon carbide and aluminum oxide and all kinds of stuff. And I mean, it don't. And I tried to chip, individual like pieces, like little crystals off of it. I could see they look like they would, and they won't. And and it starts with that white shit. I think maybe like graphene, maybe, or I don't know. It's something that makes it very durable, very tough, and bonds everything together. I'm not sure what it. And then from this piece too, so then in this large system of like whatever was going on in the earth, like if it was, impact or an eruption or whatever, but so then you got stuff like this going on. And like I said, it looks like all chaos, but and like random stuff mixed and rolled up together, but it's not. There's a lot of structure to it. And out of that, and you see this here, and you'll see how it's the same, like as far as the lavender and the white and the patterns and everything. And it was actually in here, and as I guess as they resorb, and it's a part, like you have certain minerals that are crystallized and then other minerals that are still fluid, and it'll let like those crystals get suspended in fluid and kind of rotate, and they'll, if they can't spin, they'll turn back and forth, and and wears them down and until they can't actually spin all the way around. But, and as you can see, this one here came from in here, and on this side is completely lavender. Something like this right here, I think, somewhere in there. And then obviously had something on this front side, whether it was, all fluid or, what it was on the front side, I don't know. But yeah, just crazy how, like I said, it seemed, but it migrated all the ingredients for this rock, from wherever they came from through until, it concentrated them into a purer specimen of it in this location, in this structure, and then I think that's how most minerals are probably made, or weirdly, like I guess carbon makes everything, like decides everything, or mix it. I don't know. It seems like it controls it all. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, lots of rocks that, I mean, I could go on and on all day. I've got, I mean, and these ones that get to being clearer and more translucent to transparent. You can see the individual crystals in it, but yeah, like I said, and these, just like those other ones, very hard, held together. The crystals, they're just clusters, but yet they're not. It's like they're crystallized together, like, or I don't know, fused together, but all look the same. And I think it's because they all started off as like nanotubes or whatever, and they just keep forming and then recrystallizing and bonding together and then forming crystals. all the way up until, you know, every atomic scalable size you can think, and make structures that are just beyond, almost seem mechanical in ways. All the way up into large clusters like this. Which, if it had more time, it might have grown into a larger, it might have looked something more like this after more time. But you can see the crystals in it are large. But still, that long range order is still trying to build, you know, something like this, which is resorbed but probably not complete either. Which is, you know, and then this was probably a larger version of something like that that was resorbed all the way up until you got, I don't know, the entire Earth, I guess. These chunks right here, there would be veins this way, and have veins that would crisscross them, you know, each way the same way. But as you can see, the actual grains of them is, if I can get the light to hit them right, let's see. I don't know if I can get the light to hit these right to see the smaller grains. Anyway, it's anyways, if you're still watching, I really appreciate that. And thanks for hanging with me. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. The more subscribers, the better. Please share this video with anybody you know that might like to watch it. I could use all the help I could get. Until next time, I'm Freddie Allen. This is Rock Quarter Revelations, and take care, have faith, and God bless.